Hey guys, this is Cami.
And this is Sydney, and today we're going to be throwing it back to the early 16th century Europe.
Today, we are going to be talking about the Reformation in Europe, including the Protestant Reformation,
The English Reformation,
and then the Catholic Reformation, and a touch about the rise of the Habsburg dynasty.
In the early 1500s, this Martin Luther was the central figure of Protestantism as he challenged the ways of the Church and its authorities to sell misleading indulgences. As you know, Luther was horrified by the behavior of the Church and published his 95 Theses. After Luther published these, Protestantism has spread to many of the states of northern Germany, Scandinavia, England, Scotland, parts of the Netherlands, France, and Switzerland. This rapid growth started what is known as the Radical Revolution, which describes the different religious movements that were inspired by Luther's Protestantism.
The Protestant Reformation was able to succeed because of two main reasons.
The first reason Luther's movement was able to grow is because he did not pose a threat to the existing social order, since Luther and his church were founded socially conservative.
The second reason was that Luther was willing to subordinate his church to the authority of the German princes. Luther also encouraged German princes to confiscate the lands of the Catholic Church, and many rulers did not have to be asked twice to do this. Partially because 25% of all of the land in the Holy Roman Empire was under church control. The Radical Revolution was a time where a variety of branches stemmed off the Protestant religion. Those religions included Anabaptism, Calvinism, and Anglicanism.
Although these religions agreed with Luther the idea that the Catholic Church was up to no good, the new religions were convinced that the Protestant Reformation did not go far enough about bringing transformation to society. The first group was the Anabaptists, who after reading the Bible began to deny the idea of infant baptism. They believe that baptism works only when it is practiced by adults who are fully aware of the decision they are making about baptism. They claimed it was wrong to baptize children and infants because there is no consent from the children to follow the religion, and therefore wanted to re-baptize adult believers who had been baptized as a child.
The next stem off of the Protestant religion began with a man named John Calvin, who was born in France and had a great impact on future generations. In 1553, he experienced a religious crisis and converted to the Protestant religion. Calvin believed God had specifically called on him to reform the church. The ideas that were embodied in Calvinism was his belief in absolute sovereignty, meaning that all power was in God's hands and that humans had total weakness. He did not attribute free will to humans and preached that humans cannot work to gain salvation. Rather, God decided at the beginning of time who would be saved and who would go to hell, even before your birth. This concept is known as predestination.
Now we're going to be talking about the English Reformation. The English Reformation was a political act rather than a religious act. Henry VIII, the powerful English monarch, was supportive of the Catholic Church, yet was never comfortable with the Protestant theology. King Henry VIII attempted to end his marriage with his Spanish wife, Catherine of Aragon. He was concerned that he did not have a male successor, and during this time fell in love with Anne Boleyn. He began to question whether Catherine's failure to produce sons was a sign of God's displeasure at his marriage to Catherine. The main reason for the English Reformation was that Henry wanted to have the authority to divorce his wife, but the papacy wouldn't grant the annulment. The Reformation Parliament was what Henry used as a tool to give them the ultimate authority on religious matters. The English Reformation established the Act of Supremacy, which acknowledged the Kingdom of England as the supreme head of what became known as the Church of England. After this English Reformation, Anglicanism was formed. This religion is which people could rely and focus on the Bible, yet have total independence from the Pope. Anglicanism are the temples and churches following the religious traditions of the Church of England, which Henry created after the English Reformation.
Next, we are going to be talking about the Catholic Reformation. There was a Catholic response to the Protestant Reformation, initially called the Counter-Reformation, but today known as the Catholic Reformation. This was a time where the Church and Catholicism wanted their power back. It was a counter-reformation in the way that the Catholic Church was taking steps to counteract some of the successes of the Protestant side. It was the Council of Trent in 1545. This council was dominated by the papacy, which enhanced its power. The greatest success of the Catholic Reformation was the founding of the Society of Jesus, also known as the Jesuits, organized by Ignatius Loyola. They were able to resist the spread of the Protestant religion by recruiting wealthy and powerful people to spread their ideas. Jesuit schools were made and overall achieved success. After the posting of the 95 Theses was the rise of the Habsburg dynasties in the 1520s. The marriage in 1477 of Maximilian I of the House of Habsburgs to Mary of Burgundy was the talk of the town. Burgundy had two parts, the French Duchy and Burgundian Netherlands. This marriage angered the French, who really wanted the Burgundian Netherlands, also known as Flanders, for a very long time. The marriage of Max and Mary created conflict between the Austrian House of Habsburg and the kings of France. So Max and Mary's successor was Philip of Burgundy, who married Joanna of Castile, who was the daughter of Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain. Philip and Joanna's son was Charles V, who received a combination of many territories. Because of many accidents and random death, Charles was a very lucky man and inherited many lands. He inherited Spain, New World possessions, and Spanish territories in Italy from his mother. From his father, he inherited the Habsburg lands in Austria, southern Germany, and the Low Countries. From his Habsburg grandparents, he inherited claims to the imperial title, Austria, and Burgundy. He was able to bring these territories together.
This should be a helpful review about the spread of the Protestant Reformation. Thank you for watching.